Hi everyone, welcome to the Healthy Environments and Inclusion course. I am going to walk you through exactly what I expect with the online module parts and then also what the website's going to look like. So we're going to start by clicking on the website, and you can see right here so far there's no announcements, but as soon as I finish recording this I will be sending an email using this. So you can always find your emails, any emails that I send you through announcements, and they'll all be listed right here. And then I wanted to point out course content. Course content is where you're going to get all the information for the course. So this is for April. You remember we have a class in April that's online. I'm going to walk you through that. We've got one in May, and then June we have it online, and then we also have face-to-face. So, and also in May we have a face-to-face. Next you can see that there's an option to email everyone. And then you can get a hold of the syllabus, and you can just click on that, and that takes you to the most current form of the syllabus. One of the things that, because this is an international trip and we are going to be working with people from not only DC but also South Africa, one of the things is that this is actually a moving document. So as things come up or need to be changed, then we'll be changing them. But you will have access to this living document right here. So you can see here are all of the outcomes and expectations. You have 2 required textbooks. So one of them is right here, actually. This book right here, and it is Inclusive Education in African Context. And then the other one, that just to give us some context about the United States and education, I'm going to have you read, let's see, there we go. Can we talk about race and other conversations in an era of school resegregation? So this is a good textbook just to kind of ground us in, like, what is it that we mean by resegregation when we're talking about American schools. So I had already sent you this list. I gave to you back in, I think it was October or November, the list of South African books with recommendations of depending on which type of credential you're getting. But you could choose any of these books. The Beverly Nato one is actually written for about 12-year-olds. So that one's a nice quick read. And then of course there's Mandela's book. And then Cry, the Beloved Country, which is one of the treasures of South Africa. So it's a really beautiful book to read and understand a little bit more. And then I asked you to watch at least one film, and here's the list of the films that I identified. For the assignments, of course, presence and engagement, the critical reflection blogs, the social location essay, which is really, it's an essay to really figure out where you're coming from, and then you're going to be sharing parts of this with the groups that I'm going to be putting you in with, educators from DC and also from South Africa. So we'll be using this, you'll be turning this into me, but then we'll be pulling parts of it out to share with others. We'll be doing the change making project, so that is looking at critical issues in the education system, both here in the US and in South Africa, and then developing some ways to address these inequities within education. So this is our grading. Then, let me see, if you need accommodations, please reach out to the disabilities office, and then they will give you a piece of paper to give to me as well, so that's really important. If you are concerned about the wellness of yourself or a friend, we do have the wellness supports here, and also the writing supports, so please do reach out to these places if you feel like you need it. No plagiarism. And I try to do as much online, so I try to keep with the sustainability pledge of USD. So I do as much as I can, giving you things online and not making a bunch of copies. So this takes us through, here's this April's class, and it goes through down there. I'm going to be going through that as well. There's May 1st and then May 11th, which this one is actually a face-to-face class. There's June 1st and then June 28th. You'll also have some expectations of readings done. This brings us through the dates, the location, the itinerary of what we're doing, and the topics that we're going to be covering that day for our trip to South Africa. And then the very last one is an online, just kind of debriefing that we'll be doing. This is once everybody kind of gets home or to their certain places. So these are the meals that are included. You can see dinners are not always included, so please have money for those. And then, of course, our references and and then this is the policy on student code of conduct during our trip. So you can go through and you will be signing that. Oops, I'm not sure why the signature ended up down there, but we can maybe do this. There we go. Oops. And now we're all on one page. Okay, so I will have you sign this on May 11th when we all get together face to face. So you can, like I said, find the syllabus, the most up-to-date one, by going here and clicking that. And changes will happen, so I would definitely recommend using this rather than printing it out and then saying, hey, you know, this change was made or this isn't what it said, because, like I said, it is a moving document. Okay, let's go back up to course content, and we're going to look at what the expectations are for April. So I'm going to click on this. So once we open this up, you can see that I always have a task list. So this video that I'm making right now, you'll have a link to right here. So watch support video. Then I ask you to purchase the books. And so one of the things that I did find online was that they actually have chapter 1 of the book. If you want to get a jump while you're waiting for the book to be delivered, they do have that. So just the first 30 pages of the book online. So I gave you a link to that. But for the whole text, I also gave you the link to the Amazon, and you can absolutely get the used, or here's new, for $54. So paperback is fine. Hopefully we'll have most of this read before we go on the trip, so you're not carrying heavy books or anything. The next one is the Can We Talk About Race? I gave you the link for that, and you can see you can even get the audiobook for free and used for $2.41. So I wasn't trying to get you anything that was going to be heavy for your funding or anything like that, but that was still supportive to you learning and understanding education. Let me just move this over here. So then the next thing is I wanted you to watch one of the South African movies. Remember, those are all listed right here. And read one of the South African books, so textbooks. These aren't textbooks, but novels, so I'll change that to novels. And then you're also going to be answering critical reflection number 1 questions, writing a social location essay, and writing an introductory email to South African Educators Group, which we're still finalizing the groups and getting all the emails from the educators in South Africa. So I right now do not have those groups finalized, and then there'll also be some people that we'll be grouping with from DC, from Marymount University. So we're also going to the conference and going to be traveling with us. All right, I'm going to take my video off now because that's a little distracting to me. But you can see, so reading one of these books, watching one of these films, writing your introductory email, writing the critical reflection, and then doing the social location essay. Oh, I also am asking you to create a blog for the critical reflections. As I mentioned before, you'll be posting these for a few reasons. One, I want your parents to always know where you are and what you're doing. I want you to document the growth that you're having. And then also, if you're doing some sort of reading, I want you to show me where it's applying to your growth as an educator. And so that's why I have you write the critical reflections and put them on a blog. So here's the critical reflection. So you'll turn that in right here. So you just click on this, and you can see it's due on the 30th. It's worth 10 points. And here's the questions right there. When you want to hit write submission, and then this box will come up, and you can just copy these all right here, paste them right down here, and then answer them, and that's just fine. If for some reason you have any comments, like a common one that I've heard is, I am sorry for turning this in late. I was having some technical issues. I emailed you about this before the due date. Okay, So if for some reason you need to communicate something with me, you can put it in the comment section, but make sure you use the text section, write submission, for actually turning in the work, okay? So I'm going to hit cancel on that because I don't need to turn this in. And let's take a look at the questions. So the first few questions are actually, I just want to see kind of where you are. I'm going to be going over and I will be explaining these things to you when we get together. But for right now, I kind of want to see what you know about. So from your knowledge bank, how did Brown versus the Board of Education change American schools? If you're not sure, then write your best guess. And then from what you know right now, explain the significance of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, signed 10 years later, 10 years after the Brown versus the Board of Education, and what significance that had on educating all students. Once again, if you're not sure, write your best guess. I will teach you these things. You do not need to go and research it and find an answer. I just want to know where you're coming from. And then finally, how did the ideas and actions concerning educating all learners change with PL 94142, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975, which was about 10 years later? So, and once again, I don't want you to research it. I want you to just tell me what you know beforehand so I know how much depth I need to go in. And if you don't know, there's most likely somebody else there who doesn't know as well. So do not feel bad or anything else. This is just to get an idea. And then, do you believe schools are desegregated today? Why or why not? And then, which South African book did you choose? Describe 3 takeaways from that text. Which South African movie did you choose? Describe 3 takeaways from the movie. So this just kind of gives you some place to kind of talk about which book you chose and then what you got from it, which movie you chose and what you got from it. And then I wrote, using Weebly, Blogspot, or another online platform, create a blog for your trip, write a brief introduction about why you chose to sign up for this trip and what you hope to get out of it, and insert the link here. So I'm now going to take you to, let's see, JezTravels. Let's just do it that way. So this is, here we go, Facebook, nope, right. Here's my blog, just so you have an idea about this, that you are welcome to go through. So this is my week 25. We could go much sooner than that. So let's say it was January 2013 when I first went to South Africa. And you can see it's actually upside down. So we have to go to the bottom to get to the first entry. But you can see I've got pictures in there. Whoops. And here's week 1 in Johannesburg. And so you can go through and read about my trip, what I learned, and all of those to give you some context. And, you know, let's scroll back up here. Like I said, January 2013 is when I started it. I finished the Fulbright in June, but then I was a visiting professor July to September. So you can, of course, go through and do that. I do want you to know that I was typing these very quickly, and so there was a lot of typos in here, so please do excuse those, and just know that it was more about the content and getting the ideas out than it was about having everything perfect. And I always thought I would go back and fix it, and I haven't had a chance, so I do apologize for that. All right, so but you can use Blogspot. At USD, we use Weebly a lot. So Weebly, if you've already got a Weebly account, just keep your Weebly account and then add a blog to your Weebly account. That's the best thing. That's why I put it first. But if you want to do Blogspot, that's fine. Or if you already have another blog, you do not need to create a new one just for this. But I do want you to write right here just a brief introduction about why you chose to sign up for this trip and what you hope to get out of it. And then all you need to do is, for example, if this is where I wrote that, I would copy this, and then for number 7, I would paste it right there so that I could go through and I could read about your introduction of why and what you hope to get out. So that's what I'm looking for number 7. All right, the social locations essay. So this refers to your individual's place or location where you are in society. So this is really important for really establishing kind of who we are and how we come from these different places. And so we can also then start comparing and looking at the similarities and differences between not only the colleagues at USD, but the colleagues with our DC group and our colleagues over in South Africa. And so I ask you to start out by just describing yourself. And so anyway, but we're really looking at how your social location may enhance, whoops, there we go, may enhance or disrupt your professional and personal work, especially in terms of your ability to identify and intervene around conflicts and violence. So as we start really looking at these things, when you start doing a social locations essay, you're really kind of unpacking who you are, who your family was, where you came from, how you got the impressions and the ideas that you were born and that you grew up with. That our South African friends are also writing these essays, so it'll be really interesting, I think. So I want a description of your current family. If you have a spouse or a family, you go ahead, and I want them to be the focus there. So whatever your immediate family is, or if there isn't one, then I want you to explain that. A historical perspective of your family's development. So this is where you came from, any migration or patterns or anything like that that may have happened, how you got to where you are. And then a description of global context and traditions carried through the family lineage. So this is really where your culture comes in. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm Caucasian or I'm white or I'm European, so I don't really have any culture. And that's not true. I want you to dig deep here. I want you to think about what are the cultural, when I talk about culture, I mean religion, I mean political views, I mean socioeconomic views. All of these pieces of culture and traditions that have been carried through your family is what I'm really looking for here. And then a discussion regarding social standing, including any relevant intersectional ties and how they influence your family's mobility. This includes race, class, gender, etc. And I actually have something here that I did not open up ahead of time, so I will get that for you. But, here it's really about thinking, let's see, where are we? Thinking about how we, our perspectives and how we change, and all of the different pieces of us that are affected, wait, I'm sorry, one second, that are affected by our family, by our upbringing. And let's see, it's not there. Maybe here. Sorry, this is taking me so long. And there we go. This isn't the prettiest slide, but it will get it'll talk a little bit more about what I'm getting at here. So you can see this is intersectionality, and this came from Crenshaw, who was doing her research and realized, you can't really know anything about me unless you know the whole me. And all of these pieces of me actually intersect. So she was female. She was African American, or is African American. She was lesbian. And she came, I believe, from working class. So she looked at all of these different pieces and said, this is who I am. So, these are all the different pieces that we can actually look at when we're trying to kind of identify who we are within society. And so you can see on one side of it it's the more dominant or powerful. And then the other side of it is the less powerful attribute that you could have. So young, old, American immigrant, able-bodied, disabled, fertile, infertile, major religion, minority religion, Anglophone, English learner, masculine, feminine, highly educated, uncredentialed, or non-literate. So you can see that all of these pieces play into exactly who you are. So you can use this as a guide as you're trying to figure out your social location and how these different intersectional ties influence your family's mobility and your mobility as well. And then just a summary regarding how these influences has shaped your experience and worldview. So how this made you who you are. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to, email or call or text or whatever it is that you'd like to do. And I can take some time and help you unpack that as well. And I have no problem doing this. I've asked for it to be about 5 pages, double spaced, and using APA format. But then, like I said, you're going to be pulling out some of these paragraphs and you're going to be summarizing things after you kind of do this whole brain dump to get this information out. All right, and then here is an optional thing. So one of the things that ended up happening, when I went to South Africa to make these connections was I met with a professor there, Dr. Mida, and he is working in a teacher ed program. And he was so excited that you were coming. He was so excited to get his students involved with your students, or with my students. And so he even put in an application for him and his students to present at the Dices conference. Then the cost of the conference came out to everybody, and we found out that they were actually expecting the local people to pay 3,000 Rand. So it's about $250 per student. To put things in context, I went and saw Les Mis for $10. And that was at a really nice casino. And that would be a lot of money for a South African to be able to afford. 250 is more than they pay in rent and food and more than they make in a month. So I put together a GoFundMe to help raise money to get these 10 educators, 10 students to be able to go to the conference. So here is the kind of the bio of what the GoFundMe. You can click on this link and it'll take you to the GoFundMe slowly but surely. So here it is. And you can see that so far I've raised 350 of the 2,500. Oh, look, I just got another donation today, which is exciting. Here's a bio of all the 10 students. So what I'm asking you to do, and like I said, this is optional, is to see if you can get anyone to, give 5, 10, 15, 20, $500 to help get the students to the conference, because I think it'll be really powerful. We say that we want to show and teach and learn about inclusive education around the globe. Well, oftentimes we're not giving to the people who around the globe who actually need the training and support. So I ask you to, talk to your friends. So I started this GoFundMe page on my birthday, and quite a few people actually gave. Instead of buying me a glass of wine or whatever, then they actually ended up giving some money to this fund so that we could try to get some more things. And I still have a bunch of people who have said that they would like to, but they're waiting for their paycheck to come in. So our goal is to have this all done by June 1st. But the faster that we can get this money, the better. And this will bring a lot of stress off of our South African friends. So that's the last part of this module for this week. So let's just go back up here and review. So you're going to watch the support video. You're going to purchase the books so that they're here by next month. May 1st, you're going to watch the South African movie and read the South African textbook this month. You're going to answer the critical reflection questions number 1, write the social location essay, and write the introductory email to the South African educators in the groups that I'm going to hopefully have to you by the 15th. And I'll be sending you out an email, introduction email to them as well. So hopefully everything is clear. And if you do have any questions, as always, please do reach out and give me a call and email, and I will respond as quickly as possible. All right, have a wonderful rest of your spring break, and feel free to stop by my office anytime.